say this to Jamaica, right? And I'm addressing the DPP. And we are going to expose the DPP tonight for all the corruption that Jamaica has been witnessing is as a result of the DPP that allowed that. The DPP is extremely complicit with all the corruption, extremely complicit. We are going to break it down for our Jamaican people, right? I know professionally speaking as it relates to lawyers, they are not going to come out and say it. But for me, right, who's a criminal justice person, right, I am going to come out and I'm going to call a speed because it is what it is, particularly when I have the evidence. When I have the evidence to prove, I don't hesitate. And I am saying that the evidence that we are going to show, right, I am saying to all of us, Jamaica locally and in the diaspora, that the DPP is complicit, right, with the level of corruption and majority of what is happening as it relates to where the corruption get to a place of it being despicable, right? We have to blame the DPP, and we are going to show that. Now, my Jamaican people, is to show you the level of, how should I put it, totally rudeness as it relates to Andrew Holness. Believing because he controls the DPP and he controls, right, some corrupted investigators. He believes, right, he can get away with his wrongdoing and normalize corruption. Andrew Holness, I have a news for you. Because what we are looking on, there is no lawyer can help you. And we are going to just go through the detail tonight. First, let us hear what Andrew Holness, has to say with a sense of entitlement, right? And believe that he's so brilliant and the rest of us are dunce, right? We don't understand what he's doing. And so then the judge and the Integrity Commission investigators, right, now we are below him. Well, we are going to expose him tonight. So let us hear what Andrew Holness has to say. And let us get to the Island News Jamaica, the story of Andrew Holness. Let us listen to him, Jamaica. This man shows no remorse, right? No care.
My life is that I have never been given anything free.
Ooh.
I've had to work for anything that I have had. I have said it before and I will say it again. I don't know what a gold spoon looks like. It has never been in my mouth. I have no inheritance or any endowment or any trust fund anywhere. Whatever I have worked hard and honestly for it. I have never gained wealth to you that my ethic is that I believe in working for what I have. By the sweat of my brow, I shall eat bread. And that is the ethic of the Jamaica Labour Party. We work for what we have. And in the same way, we are working for the third term. We are not believing and acting as if we are entitled to a third term. There is no entitlement. Some people behave like they own Jamaica. It's just a matter that time come for them. It's not a matter that they worked for it. It's not a matter that they deserve it. It's not a meritocracy. It's just that time, the effluxion of time. It's just so. But we have never, I certainly have never behaved entitled in Jamaica. A part of the challenge that I face is that I represent a disruption, a real disruption
Take
for
him away, honey.
those persons who believe that they have an entitlement
Okay.
to Jamaica.
Take him away. Let me address him as it relates to his so-called reverse psychology that he's using. As you talk about entitlement and Jonas, let me remind you. Do you remember, Jonas, that so many times that you have postponed the local government election, and in so doing, simply means that you have your mayor and your councillors, right, extended their time illegally. Squatting, right, and constitutional norms. Do you remember that, Andrew Holness? You don't remember that. You're talking about entitlement and talking about those who believe they own Jamaica, right? When you hold the local government hostage, right, for years, am I lying? You don't remember that, Andrew Holness. So let me remind you. Now you said you have no gold spoon, right? You never have a gold spoon. We just listen to you, you know. But the big mansion that you build, you have pool and you have jacuzzi. So what you call it? It is not gold spoon. Eh? And you said you work hard for what you have. Not a lie. Reverse psychology. Well, we are going to show the people that you spend time during COVID stealing. You spend time putting yourself Ponzi scheme up in when you know that these Ponzi schemes damaging to investors, but you and your come along benefit. And as a matter of fact, Darrell Vaz is saying, them bad mind the man for the little crumbs. Now after you rob millions, billions from investors, Darrell Vaz now is saying that let go that man, that is crumbs. Darrell Vaz, I'm asking you a question. I'm not accusing you. Were you involved in Cash Plus? Just a question I'm asking you, Darrell Vaz. Were you involved in Holness? Darrell Vaz, we know that you're involved in SSL, and we have the evidence, and we know that you control many of the accounts in SSL for JLP, and we know that you have given Andrew Holness millions of dollars out of SSL. So let us move on. So let me just rest that aside, you know, because I'm not ready for dig down in that, you know. I'm ready gun in that space, melting pot, Sphinx, and Pastor Rick in that space. We're not ready for you with Andrew Holness. We could just ease upon you and put you aside. Now, DPP, come here. Let me deal with your DPP. Jamaica, this is what I want to show you as it relates to the level of corruption with Paula Llewelyn. I am going to show you a similar system, Westminster system, in the Caribbean, right, that deals with corrupted politicians and make a comparison, right, with Paula Llewelyn, and I'm going to show you explicitly clear. No one can dispute it that Paula Llewelyn is a JLP operative, corrupted, and Paula Llewelyn is the one who caused Andrew Holness and all of these persons who are involved in the high level of corruption. All of that is on Paula Llewelyn's shoulder. And we're not hesitating in saying that we are going to prove it now. Now, bring up this document, St. Kitts-Nevis. Let us show Paula Llewelyn something. Let us show Paula Llewelyn something, right? Let us show Jamaica, right, as it relates to the evidence here, right? That when it comes to high-profile case, particularly involving GLP, right? Senior personnel, no prosecution for them. Paula Llewelyn protects them. Now, Paula Llewelyn, if you are listening to me, please take a page out of the St. Kitts DPP book. And Paula Llewelyn, let me read and show you how the St. Kitts-Nevis DPP is embarrassing you, Paula Llewelyn. Listen, Paula Llewelyn. St. Kitts-Nevis DPP filed charges against 9 defaulters under the Integrity in Public Life Act. You hear that, Paula Llewelyn? You're not going to do them something there. You're not going to do that. Bastarat St. Kitts and Nevis Director of Public Prosecution, DPP Adlai Simit, has filed charges against 9 defaulters under the Integrity in Public Life Act, taken under the Integrity in Public Life Act. So this DPP, right, signed, right, with the Integrity Commission, right, investigators, right, and definitely charge these people. You, Paula Llewelyn, is going against our Integrity Commission investigators. You are corrupted. Now look what this DPP have done. 2 public officials have been omitted and 1 extension granted per the list published. DPP Smith enforcement action is a follow-up to an initial press release issued on January 11, 2024, and public officials who failed to meet the filing deadline on 26th of January 2024. You hear that, Paula Llewelyn? Paula Llewelyn, more I listen, you know. In a press release dated February 1, 2024, DPP Smith advised, as the DPP, I am tasked. Hear what, Paula Llewelyn? Listen to what this DPP is saying. Listen, Paula Llewelyn. Let me quote. As the DPP, open quote, as the DPP, Paula Llewelyn, you hear me? I am tasked with upholding the rule of law and ensuring the high standards of integrity among public officials. End quote. You hear that, Paula Llewelyn? Have you heard that? Adding, open quote, as of today, the deadline for compliance with the mandatory declaration requirements has passed. It is with regret that we note several public officials have failed to meet this obligation. Now, Paula Llewelyn, Andrew Holness, right, have 10 of them, right, and are now they cannot expose to the public going into a general election because you sit there and you allow it. Omitted an extension from the list. In accordance with earlier warnings, this is the DPP saying this. Complaints were filed on January 31, 2023 against public officials who failed to comply. The names of 2 public officials have been omitted from the list below pending a legal opinion regarding the effect of their resignations and their obligations to file. Another has requested and been granted an extension until February 5 on compassionate grounds owing to the death and recent burial of his mother. DPP Smith explained. You saw this DPP is working with investigators and very serious about prosecuting these people. And remember, you know, these people have not done half of what Andrew Holness and his confederate done, you know. This situation that the St. Kitts DPP step on aggressively, they have not done, right, not even quarter of what Andrew Holness and his corrupted men done, you know. And this DPP discipline this, you know, so Paula Llewelyn more look on this, you know. All the public officials listed in the table below have failed to meet filing deadline of 26 January 24. This list represents a diverse range of positions an organization underscoring the universal applicability of the law to all applicable public officials. While I have been made aware that at least one public official has filed since the deadline, that name has still been listed because the deadline of 26 January 2024 was the final deadline. You saw the DPP serious. You saw the DPP serious because she breached, and the DPP disciplining because he made the deadline pass. You hear that part of it? Corruption. Do you hear that? Let me call you corruption. Do you hear that? No. Summons are presently being prepared by the court registry and will be served in due course. The DPP press release announced. I see the DPP fling them out here. Paula Llewelyn. Corruption, Paula Llewelyn. See the DPP fling them out here. See the name them here. Honorable Fitzroy Eddie, Magistrate Judiciary. Sanju Engla, General Manager, ZIZ Broadcasting Corp. Ricky Lenrick Lake, Chairman, Urban Development Corp. Rutlin Harris, Member, Public Service Commission. Oral Brandy, General Manager, Nevis Air and Seaports Authority. Stedman Trust, Chairman of Nevlik. Albert Garden, General Manager, Nevlik. Pamela Martin, Chairperson, Nevis Tourism Authority. So let us show you, right? Hear what this, hear what, read it up, Eden Paula Llewelyn. Eh? Because your behavior causes us to lose places on the corruption index. You and Andrew Holness. Combating corruption and maintaining public trust. You hear that? Now, let me reinforce this to you, Paula Llewelyn. Open quote. Hear what the CPP said. I wish to reiterate the importance of these declarations in combating corruption and maintaining public trust. Paula Llewelyn. Do you hear that? Have you heard that, Paula Llewelyn? The DPP said, I wish to reiterate the importance of these declarations in combating corruption and maintaining public trust. Where I to fail to follow through on my warning of certain prosecution, not only would the credibility of my office be damaged, Paula Llewelyn, shame, but it would also set an harmful precedent that laws can be disregarded, and that's why Andrew Holness and Darren Vaz continue. Darren Vaz, you're going to prison for the $1.4 billion. You only bring in few buses, and we are watching now. You said by July, all 110 buses should be here, you know. But sure, you know, you have Paula Llewelyn to defend, you know. You know, continue to hurt taxpayers, you know. You know, continue to wicked to taxpayers, you know. So I show you this, you know. You understand? Here it is. But it would also set a harmful precedent that laws can be disregarded, like how Paula set the harmful precedent without consequence. Without consequence, take that away. Now, Paula Llewelyn, you think me done with you yet? I want to show Jamaican people how nasty you are. Eh? You're nasty, not let me show you how extremely nasty you are. Now, Paula Llewelyn, we see Andrew Holness upping from Ponzi scheme to Ponzi scheme to Ponzi scheme. Right? At the same time, coming out and talking about FinSac and talking about the 90s financial meltdown. This is how wicked this man is. This is how vicious and vindictive this man is. Knowing very well that he may be a part and parcel of the situation. Knowing very well that Edward Seaga, who at the time, Andrew Holness, managing certain accounts, borrowed $31 million that helped cause the financial meltdown, and Andrew Holness have the audacity to come out on public platform and pointing fingers and Omar Davis. what did Omar Davis done? Try to save the system, the banking system. Try to save the bank. And yet, Andrew Holness, Edward Seaga, crippled the situation. Edward Seaga, Dan Crawford, Paul Young and Associates, and you Croskery, where Andrew Holness is running with. And you're coming out. You don't have no shame enough. You don't have no shame, but wait. Now, let us get into the archive here. Jamaica citizen plead guilty. Now, people, the reason why I'm going to show this is in the Ponzi scheme. And what I am going to show you, Jamaica, is that for the corruptors who done their Ponzi scheme in Jamaica, they were not prosecuted. They were not prosecuted. But I am going to show you that one of them who had done their corruption and went right into America, guess what? Get prosecuted. So Paula, let me ask Paula. All of them who corrupt themselves and rob investors, why you have not prosecuted one? And the one of them who tried in the United States get 10 years in prison. You wouldn't have done that, Paula Llewelyn. This is showing Jamaica how complicit you are. Let me read it and show people. This is no joke. Put up this document on it. All Jamaican citizens plead guilty. Let us show Jamaica where we are going and show how corrupt and demonic, you understand, this so-called DPP is. Down to our own co-worker is saying that she's corrupt. Now here it is, people, right? Archive content, March 29, 2011, Orlando, Florida. Financial crimes. Financial crime, Paula Llewelyn. Jamaican citizen plead guilty to 220 million international Ponzi fraud and money laundering scheme because guess what? He's on a different platform. He's not in Jamaica. Eh? If you're in Jamaica, you're not saying you don't do it. You understand? And Paula Llewelyn, you'd have let him off. You would have let him off. Now watch this. Orlando, Florida, David A. Smith, a 41, a Jamaican citizen who was living in the Turks and Caicos Island, pleaded guilty today to 4 counts of wire fraud. You hear that? Andrew Holness, listen to this, you know. Listen to them wire fraud, you know. 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. Andrew Holness, you listen to this? And 18 counts of money laundering. I hope you listen to this in Andrew Holness and Darrell Bars. Smith's guilty plea follows an investigation conducted by who? The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Homeland Security. You think, let me stop right here, so people. When I tell you, say, the level of corruption with DPP and the investigator, you understand? This a boy, this a brother, you couldn't get where. You understand me? I say, couldn't get where because he's up on a different platform. And these people is going to take him to task and dig him down and prosecute him. This, my Jamaican people, is going to happen to Andrew Holness because Andrew Holness is the Swiss system. So Andrew Holness, I don't believe you can Jamaican people and can do a rare blah, 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 blah. You understand? Trust me. Trust me. The jail just right behind your back. You understand? Actually, your back is not resting. You understand? On the concrete metal. We can tell you that. Now, and here it is. Conducted by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Homeland Security. Investigation, HSI, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Right? Investigation, right? The investigating the flow of illicit money across U.S. borders, Andrew Holness. But listen to this, you know. And the criminal enterprises behind that money is one of our top priorities, said Susan McCormick, special agent in charge of ICE, HSI in Tampa. These types of financial schemes. Listen, Paula, and listen, Andrew Holness. Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. Because you are ravishing Jamaican people. Hear what the United States is saying. These types of financial schemes, which is the Ponzi scheme, or which Andrew Holness knows they're a Ponzi scheme, not only damage the lives of the victims. You hear that, Andrew Holness? You exploit our Jamaican people, Andrew Holness. You have exploited our Jamaican people. Let me read it over to you. These types of financial schemes not only damage the lives of the victims, but the international money laundering involved poses a direct threat to the security of the U.S. financial system. Last year, Smith pleaded guilty to fraud and conspiracy charges filed in Turks and Caicos Island arising from his investment scam there, and he was sentenced to serve 6.5 years in prison. Take this away. Now, Jamaica, where am I going? To show you the apparent corruption of Paula Llewelyn, normalizing the corruption with Andrew Holness and Darrell Vaz and many more criminals. As I said, it's a kleptocratic government. Look on this move now, people. Fraud case against Cash Plus. Freed. Paula Llewelyn freed. Paula Llewelyn freed. When we're talking about the corruption with the DPP and the Jamaican, some of the top investigators, this is what we get. Look on the result of this. That's why I'm showing this now. See there, freed. Fraud case against Cash Plus boss Carlos Hill crumbles. It must have been to crumble. And Llewelyn, it has to crumble because Andrew Holness involved in it. Andrew Holness, right, has the account in Cash Plus. Can you imagine people exploit the Jamaican people and suddenly they have to free him because him is one of the organizers. Likewise, Andrew Holness is the organizer. Right? Dump millions of dollars. I'm telling you. Let me tell you something, Andrew Holness. You can't get away. The fraud case against former Cash Plus boss Carlos Hill has collapsed. You know what collapsed? Because of Paula Llewelyn and DPP. The man accused of fleecing thousands of Jamaicans walked free from court early Wednesday afternoon after the prosecution told the court that no evidence would be offered against him. Take it away. Take it away. Take it away. Now, my Jamaican people. Now, SSL. No. You Croskery has not been interrogated or asked any question. Let me show you the document, people. SSL founder denies being involved. And Paula Llewelyn leave him alone. Well, on the panel, me have two more for just rush one, you understand? Now, look on the slackness, people. Slackness. SSL founder denies being involved in any fraudulent activity during tenure at brokerage firm. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Attorney at law Peter Champney, lead counsel for U Croskery, founder of the Fraud Its Tax and Security Limited SSL, has professed his client innocent as controversy continues to mushroom in a broadening fraud scandal at the brokerage firm. It has come to the attention of Mr. U Croskery that his name has been mentioned alongside others in recent media reports relative to the current inquiry into the business operation of Stock and Security Limited, SSL. My client wishes to state emphatically and lucidly, while appreciating the public's concern that during his tenure with SSL, he did not engage in any unethical or criminal conduct, Champagne told Observer Online. Take that away. Take that away. Now, let me show how corrupt the system is. Because you Croskery is not you Croskery first. It is not the first rodeo for you Croskery. And if I was investigating that case, I would make reference to the previous involvement to establish a pattern of behavior as it relates to you Croskery, a MO, modus operandi. And you are going to tell me that the criminal justice system as it relates to Paula Llewelyn and investigators allow him to slide. Now let me show you. Let me show the people the evidence. Jamaica Cleaner, Croskery Assures Court of Corporation and Chenyang Properties. Unbelievable, impossible that this man slide with the pattern of behavior. Now people, look, watch this. The Supreme Court has lifted the injunction against you Croskery in his capacity as trustee of Phoenix Note Holders Trust. The stockbroker has announced in a public statement. And people, what I'm reading, this is the incident, one of the incidents that caused the 90s financial meltdown with Paul Chenyang and you Croskery, both of them. Justice Major Consolidated had initially placed an injunction on Croskery to make 10 and had given him 14 days to declare the locations of all assets held by him on behalf of Phoenix, whether in his own name or nominees. Let me explain this paragraph. This is the same behavior that Andrew Holness had done and those who involved in Cash Plus and Olint. Take investors' money and buy up properties all over the place. You understand? The wickedness, the evil of these people. Croskery says he has given his undertaking to the court not to dispose of any assets held by the trust without notice or consent. On look at now, people. The assets were frozen in mid-April on the application of Jamaica Solicitor General Michael Hilton QC, who had traced ownership of the properties held by Phoenix to Paul Chenyang, former head of the collapsed Eagle groups of companies, and this is in the 90s. This is one of the situations that caused the financial meltdown. The Miami court has since lifted the freeze on Chenyang, which means he is free to transact business with them in the jurisdiction. Croskery said of his role in the trust that he acted purely in a representative capacity as trustee for a small group of investors who put up the funds to purchase houses. As trustee, he ensured that their investments were protected. What he did, you ensure that their investment was robbed, the statement said. Courts in Jamaica and Florida had barred Chenyang and Croskery from disposing of the assets and the application of Eagle Merchant Bank and Crown Eagle Life, two of Chenyang's former companies commandeered by the Jamaican government at the advent of the financial sector meltdown. When you hear that, people, at the advent of the financial sector meltdown, Croskery has again asserted that the freezing order was not related to his security brokerage Stocks and Security Limited. Formerly what, people? Paul Chenyang and Associates, of which he is a chairman. Hilton presented evidence. Now listen now, people. Hilton presented evidence to the Kingston and Miami court showing that Chenyang, despite a court order on May 4, 2006, to declare his asset and not to deal with or dispose of any properties without approval. You know what he had done? He had transferred 19 properties to Croskery on May 12. So let me ask you, Paula Llewelyn, you know this behavior? In Paula Llewelyn, investigators who they investigate SSL, who not see this behavior with you, Croskery. Who not see this? Who not deny, who not remember this happened? Who not remember this happened? The deja vu in SSL, where you Croskery is concerned. Now look, just days after the judgment against him to pay over $900 million plus interest, 3 other properties were transferred to Croskery on May 24 and June 15, right of that same year. Take this document away. What kind of investigation? Paula Llewelyn? What kind of investigation that you have done? And have you shown now explicitly clear that you are corrupted as it relates to the consolidated report, as it relates to the investigation into SSL, and where The forensic expert had completed their report and recommend charges on what you do. What did you do, Paula? You sit on it and playing games that they need to give you more information. Paula Llewelyn, you're complicit. You are the one that allowed Jamaica to be like this in the high level of corruption. Paula Llewelyn, I am blaming you as it relates to Andrew Holness' behavior and the entire GLP kleptocratic government. Paula Llewelyn, this is on your shoulder. Now let us show the consolidated report and let's get to the 4.0 and then we bring in the pollen. Now we are going to show you, my Jamaican people, right? This is just crazy. Let us get to 4.0. All right. Here it is, people, in plain sight, the corruption of Paula Llewelyn. 4.0 SSL investigation. As I mentioned in my opening budget presentation in March 2023, this allied Nigel Clark, and again in March 2024, with respect to the investigation into SSL, the policy position of the government is that we will make available whatever resources are required to ensure a thorough, fair, and complete and independent investigation. Uno never called it off SSL. Uno never protect the crime scene. Uno allow people to work and damage the crime scene. Nigel Clark. And as I said, the entire blame is on your shoulder. We will also leave no stone unturned. Everybody knows I like that. We will follow the evidence wherever it may lead. Uno knows in Ghana and Ghana IMF. You understand? Seek international assistance. Now, this is the policy that has been implemented as a country. As previously updated, Crowell Associates UK Limited, a renowned international investigation firm. But you don't believe? You don't believe that Crowell will go come right and do the investigation and lie for Uno? No, they're not going to lie. They're not going to lie. They have their reputation to protect. Right? Was engaged to undertaking an independent forensic audit to understand the facts relating to the fraud perpetrated at Stats and Security Limited over the period 2010 to 2023. The company was selected because it did not have any connection in Jamaica and because its vast experience given the complexity of the matter. The matter is complex. What caused the complexity of the is because Andrew Holness in it. The volume of transactions because of Andrew Holness involved in it and the amount of GLP member of parliament who have account in ISAT. That's why it's so complex. The volume of transactions, the number of accounts held by clients, and the number of bank accounts held by the SSL network of companies. The CRA team, working with the support of government agencies, including the FID and FSC, utilize technology, data analytics, and forensic expertise. Remember the Paula Llewelyn, you don't have half of the expertise as these forensic expertise, but yet they gave you their report and you are telling them that more needed when you don't have the expertise like these men. Now, forensic expertise to produce a comprehensive and independent report of its finding in November 23. The core report has confirmed that the suspected fraudulent activity and mismanagement at SSL and its related parties were much broader than initially understood. With the benefit of this report, their own investigations and through collaboration with other law enforcement agencies, the FID has publicly reported that a file was submitted to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for the consideration, Paula Llewelyn, of criminal charges against individuals linked to the SSL network of companies or the companies pursuant to the Proceed of Crime Act, Larceny Act, and financial sector legislation. What you have done, Paula Llewelyn, you have seated on this report, right, and decided that you are going to file 13. This is what shows you're complicit. You're a JLP operative, right? You are complicit with criminals, and it is plain and simple. Let me go to the panel. Now the open batsman.
Yes, sir,
Take it
Lord
away.
Byron. Yes, sir, Lord Byron. Thank you for the opportunity to address this, high level activities in corruption, and more so to highlight Paula Llewelyn. We all know she facilitated all that went on during that period of time, of 9 years under the Jamaica Labour Party. And more so, she facilitated the Prime Minister in doing the various activities that we see light against him. And also she facilitated the players them in the Panty scheme, because as a DPP, she has no, credible record of prosecution. The only time we see she prosecute anybody, they have to come from the underprivileged society, the ghetto, so to speak. Yeah, but Paula Llewelyn, as it relates to the big boys, she don't touch them, she protect them. But we're glad how the DPP in a St. Kitts show a working DPP in regards to a non-working DPP. She prosecute 9 of your people, yeah? And those prosecution relate for late filing, you understand? Nothing comparing to where we see a go on in Jamaica with guys that deal with vast amount of money laundering and whole heap of yeah, Ponzi scheme a collapse, and them collapse regular too. And she not do nothing about it to protect the players them. So we have to look on Paula Llewelyn as the perpetrator behind Andrew Holness. And she here and abet them. Yeah, she protect them in all various activities. And so where Jamaica is today and where Andrew Holness is today, it is at the expense of Paula Llewelyn. Because recommendation from Carl, so several people supposed to, get charged. She dash all of that in a file 13. And she will tell us that she need more information. Now we sought the help of CRAL, yeah, as an international body who, does this type of job. And them come in and them do the work and them submit the recommendation. But she put in a file 13 because the recommendation have too much of the people and where she protect inside of it. So she have to disregard all of those evidence. Yeah. Nigel Clark and them guys too, them know everything we are going, Them exodus. Cause him tell we say no stone or leave and turn. My follow the lead of the investigation. And I'm also go see it overseas assistant. Yeah. But after that him disappear. All of the stone remain untouched. You understand? So we are look on the players them and how them formulate them game over this period of time that Andrew Holness preside over. And where it has damaged Jamaica and Jamaicans. Because right now the recession that Jamaica finds itself in is a result of all of this malpractice with Andrew Holness and the DPP and the rest of cronies them. So we have to look on Paula Llewelyn seriously as one of the main players. And she have to get charged eventually. Now, if we just mirror back somewhere going, yeah, as it relates to even this person that was, charged for $220 million money laundering in the 220 million, yeah, in the US, yeah, that he used to practice out of the Turks and Caicos Island. And the same thing we are looking with Andrew Holness,
Exactly.
The same thing. So when you mirror the two type of activity, they all spell money laundering. And once you touch the US system, you are going to get charged. And Andrew touch the Swiss system. We know that. So Andrew must get charged. So we just broaden that picture for the Jamaican people using the portrait we have with this guy that was held and charged. So there's no way that Andrew Holness can wiggle him way out of the corruption. And all the players them who protect Andrew, the picture is getting clearer and clearer. No matter how muddy the water settle down now, and we are sitting at the bottom of the stream. Yeah, and we are look on some serious charge that lies ahead. DPP, she's supposed to get about 50 years in a prison. And the only part how she earned supposed to take back to, because she never worked as a DPP. No, she played at the DPP office. And she are playing her corruption. So she, if me a charge her, me have to get back on some of her salary too, as well. Because in a period of time, even people from within our own office raise them eyebrow as to the high level of corruption where she are going with. And them shows so them not in favor of her. You understand? Now when you head a department and your colleagues them that work alongside you, them have, some growth as it relates to your performance in the office. It shows that even from right there and then, people that have suspicion of the DPP and suspicion right from under our nose. Because everybody knows what she go on with. What Paula Llewelyn was doing was too plain and obvious. Not only to Jamaican, but to the entire world. We are watching Jamaica. None more so than the US Embassy. They have watched her a long time. But she feel like Llewelyn, she never under no scrutiny or no microscope. For her umbrella will protect her was the Prime Minister, and she feel like that's how it stopped. So even Paula Llewelyn reassured her, she ain't really idiot, that dunce DPP we get, Because if she know all the system have a play out, she knows she shouldn't touch it. She should have let Andrew Holness, be the Prime Minister that Jamaican elect him to be. By the first time him slip out a line, she hold him accountable. Because accountability is where you have a DPP final. You don't have hard to play around with them players here. And their nightclub with them a turn it around and push it back in. That alone show who Paula Llewelyn is, because the same people where she protect, when them name mentioned in all two cases, where she let them go. She had them property and turn it around and push it back in. Then Paula Llewelyn, you don't know, say American watch and them performance and make no time. But them now go say nothing. Them just wait till the regime where you are protect fall. You go see the ending of your time. Because you go alongside some people when we hear them talk about, Yeah? You and them are going to share the same compound. Because I don't think them have no woman prisoner again in that Jamaica. Think them destroy the one over Port Augustus. You understand? So, I've got to show you somewhere. Because you here and a bit Andrew Holness. You help Andrew mash up the country. You help a lot of players them like you Croskery them. You have to carry out the money laundering thing. You know so them guys don't get charged and prosecuted. But you don't even call them in for questioning, neither the police them. When you Croskery go on with that SSL, right now film thing not touch, He has never been interviewed, people.
Never.
You understand? And that is a disaster where we never want. You understand? When a man do something, you have to draw him up and set an example so that the rest of them will think them can follow suit, have a change of heart. But you Croskery, leave the island to him son Mark Croskery. And no police will talk to him. I remember we didn't know that before, so them now go talk to him. The sensitivity we have come out of the Croskery situation, We talk it, we have father lonesome before it even play out. And so said, so done. I see him where it play out. Because the man called Andrew Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew him call the Prime Minister, Why? There must be some close affiliation. There must be some high-level protection for him. Yeah, Andrew Wall is the name, Prince Andrew. Because Andrew make him a play in our system. Yeah? And all of them know so this guy come from Eagle Merchant Bank days with Paul Chen Young. Them know we go on in the 90s, meltdown. Yeah? And this is the same guy them have in picture can't change, it's still up on the wall. Yeah, but then bring him back in the same Ponzi scheme activity. And this time him chop the investors, them wickeder. None so more than Usain Bolt. And this lady, old lady with her 60 million. Them money there, them coming, them gone through the back door. Both money as it going through the front door, exit the back door immediately same day. This lady with her 60 million, same procedure. As it going through the front door, it exit the back door. Right. Them big whack, they're not slung in SSL. Them just do that.
To respond to the situation.
Well, let me start with Andrew Holness. I've said it already, Andrew is a narcissist. And Andrew is very arrogant. And the question I would like to ask my brother Radigan is is Andrew going to go to prison in Jamaica or overseas? Because at this point, he is involved in so much things that he could be made to serve his prison term overseas. No, he's there giving this speech on a stage, throwing shade at Mark Gordon because Mark Gordon spoke about his inheritance and so forth. Well, we know pirates love gold. And Jonas, you were not born with a gold spoon in your mouth, but pirates love gold. No, let's look at you're here on the stage talking in circles and referring to classism again to divide a nation where the motto says, out of many we are one. And again, we see this classism again coming from the other members of the JLP on the stages. And Andrew, we have not forgotten that the mayor of Clarendon is actually squatting.
Yes.
He's a squatter. So to endorse what Uncle Byron was saying, mayors are squatting, the mayor of Clarendon is squatting. And he will be removed as soon as we get into power. So endure so yeah, just there until then. And not to mention the fact that Andrew endorsed the mayor of St. James, removing the posters of three of our candidates here. Now let's talk about David Smith. I think it was David Smith who when he was charged in Jamaica and the case was going on in Jamaica, he ended up in a wheelchair and became sick. And we see the same thing happen with Gene Panton from SSL. You know,
Yes.
the wheelchair trick again, trying to con the nation. We have seen that one before, not working again. No, while Gene Panton is in jail without bail, Hugh and his son is free to fly and out of the country along with his son, go and travel the world, see what is happening out there in the world, enjoy what's happening in the world. And Andrew, we need a full report before election because we want to know whose names are involved. We would like to have a copy. We should not have a right after we pay so much money for it. We taxpayers pay so much money for it. You have to wait until Paula, your friend, your puppet, decide when she decides to want to open the covers of the call report to us. No, we need it now. And on correction there with my brother melting pot. It's not just Ghetto Youth that the DPP targets, she targets the PNP people also. Remember what happened when two of our members' guns went missing? Okay, our people were charged, the PNP members, candidates were charged, while the GLP members were given free pass.
Yes, that's
Free
true.
pass follow. We're not forgetting that one.
True.
The other point that Melting Pot made, Paula, you need to go to court. We should take you to court because your travel documents should be revoked also because we need you here to answer the question. You have a lot to answer to. And I don't understand why these people commit these crimes over and over, all of them like a syndicate working together. And in their old age, they're going into prison because Andrew, as Uncle Byron said, his back is against the prison. So right now, he's enjoying all the freedom he can now enjoy before he goes to prison. When in fact, what if he had any foresight? What he should have done from day one when the IC report came out, or even before then, just plead guilty. Let us have an election. Let us have a change of government. Start the prison term early, because when you start the prison term early, you will finish the prison term early. And a plea deal would have given you a shorter time to serve, and you will have time to come out back out of prison to enjoy your grandchildren and enjoy your life after. But then again, you probably decide to, okay, let me enjoy all the freedom I can now and spend the rest of your life in prison, because trust me, and that is exactly where you're going. Now, let us look at what happened in the St. Kitts there. These people just missed the deadline,
Exactly.
and their DPP made a case against them. In Jamaica, two PNP members, I remember, missed their deadline, and they tried to muddy the water and dirty their name. From Westmoreland, Dwayne Vaz, and from Manchester, Michael Phillips, they both submitted their documents late, and they paid their fines. Okay, and their name is clear. They're not involved in any corruption. So I don't understand why some labor rights don't understand that. It's a difference between when you are late with your application or your submission, and a difference when you decide to ignore the IC completely and take them to court. Like what Andrew is doing. It's going what, 4 or 5 years now. His declarations cannot be certified.
Exactly.
4 to 5 years now. Dwayne Vaz and Michael Phillips just missed the deadline. That's all they did. And they paid their fines, so their names are clear. So I yield the floor to someone else.
All right, right then and there, let me just hand over the button to Pastor Ricky. Coming down, Pastor Ricky. Talk to them, no man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, first of all, when the Prime Minister went on a concession speech on Sunday evening to say that third term is not guaranteed, I think he was playing psyche, mind games. This man is desperately trying to win, and as they say, at any cost, they will do anything to win. I used to play sports growing up. I ran track and field. I played basketball and football. And so in football, you would try to draw your opponent offside to score to gain more yards on them. In basketball, you would do a head fake and the opponent would jump up and then you would go up and shoot the ball and then that's a penalty and you get a free shot. So I think that he was trying to score some point to make us relax, to think that, yeah, he knows he's not going to win. We know he's not going to win, but we still can't take it for granted because we need 2/3 majority vote. We need a robust turnout and we need to win wide margins so there won't be any recount. The next thing with the prime minister, as he was talking about, he's not entitled. Um, he was the same one that went to Montego Bay when Comrade MP candidate Nikisha Burchell had a event with the taxi and the bus drivers, minibus drivers down there, and she had to cancel her stuff because he, and I'm bad mind, decided to go to there the same day and host an event when she was doing her event. This is the same guy who, said him and them cronies that them not surrender Jamaica to the PMP. And Desmond Criminal Mackenzie said them have to win at all costs. So when the outgoing Prime Minister Barabbas, you have to read between the lines and don't really bite the bait, because him claim him as a strategist and he's a chess player, but we know he's not a good chess player and he's no strategist in terms of how we are analyzing the events that is unfolding right before our eyes and the revelations of things that are occurring. Now, as it relates to the criminal Vaz, he's a co-conspirator with the prime minister. I guarantee you that whenever we get our hands on the integrity investigation report on criminal Daryl Vaz, it will mirror the same things that they found with the prime minister. He's a co-conspirator along with the prime minister in all of the corruption. And Sir Byron pointed out, you asked the question, was he involved in Olin? Of course. There's no doubt about that. Was he involved in Cash Plus? Of course. There's no doubt about that. Was he involved in Paul Cheng Young and Associate? Of course. There's no doubt about that. They all are the same players moving from one Ponzi schemes to the next. And we all know from what the whistleblower said, he managed multiple accounts in SSL, and also he borrowed money from SSL to pay for his daughter's tuition for college. Not only that, but he confessed publicly by putting out a document and a statement that his son-in-law was the beneficiary of the SSL building, which is a crime scene. So Daryl Vaz is a co-conspirator, and you cannot separate Daryl Vaz from the crimes of the prime minister. They're both collaborating, colluding, whichever descriptive adjective you want to use. They're both criminals, and both of them should go to prison. Now, as it relates to the corrupt DPP, it's a web of them. I'm not just she alone, but I know Section 94 gives her so much power in the Constitution. She have the right to stop any prosecution and the right to start any prosecution. And this is why I don't like the Westminster system in Jamaica. And I said it, but I know a lot of people don't like that, but it's the truth. The Westminster system works well in England, and we see how many prime ministers have to resign, and we see how many people go to prison in England. But in Jamaica, the protection, the web of protection, you have Chan, who's the National Minister of Security, who's a known criminal. I mean, just read what WikiLeaks said about it and revealed money in a gang on money laundering and gun trafficking. So you have the head of MOCA, the head of CTAC, the head of the FSC, FID, the head of FID. All these, the head of TAJ, Tax Administrator, all of these Auditor General reports on all these money that is gone, $3 trillion. What the ICA revealed on the Prime Minister last September 2024 in their criminal investigation as it relates to his financial crime, that revealed he was involved in money laundering, tax evasion, racketeering, conspiracy to commit investment fraud to Beretta by getting a $50 million loan with no real collateral. Also stealing 34,000 US dollars from a charity that was unregulated. And when he got caught after 4 years, he was forced to put the money back in the charity. And then abuse of power. But we don't see no type of investigation from any of these law enforcement agency. The Prime Minister is not above the law. The Prime Minister, the outgoing Prime Minister, let me start using that phrase. The outgoing Prime Minister, Barabbas, is not above the law. Barabbas is a citizen of Jamaica like any one of us. and he broke and breached the law, and he should be held accountable. But yet, when I see Seaga move, when I see Motaka move, and so I think all of them heads of those agencies, along with the DPP, is a web of protection that he has built around him that is now broken, and the DPP is going to omit office in a few more days, few more weeks in September. I believe September the 20th coming on her birthday when her tenure will be over. And I strongly believe that a lot of these cases that she dashed with in the Jamaican terms need to be revisited. I don't know. I have to find out if there's any, maybe Sir Rattigan can answer, if there's any statutory, what's the word?
Declaration.
Limitation on any of these cases that she over proceeded and threw it, like you just read on your articles you presented tonight. And so I strongly believe, and I say this and I mean it, because I live in the United States. The US is an imperfect country, but things are done efficiently. And so I think that the Jamaica Comrade Leader Mark Golding should adopt a type of RICO law that the FBI used to bust white-collar crimes in America and bring down the mafia and the mobsters. The RICO law is powerful, and if anybody watching that has any contact with Sir Comrade Leader Mark Golding, he needs to research the RICO law and pass that law in a Jamaican version in the parliament, because Jamaica is not everything. I go on a white-collar criminal. White-collar crimes has destroyed Jamaica. Everything we are talking about from how many years now, white-collar criminality at the highest level. And so I think that the DPP office needs to be obsolete. The DCP, the Director of Corruption Prosecution Office, should be obsolete. I believe that them should split up and have, just like in the United States, you have different U.S. attorney that works out of the Department of Justice, DOJ. And so those three DPP should be able to collaborate. And if the national security minister is corrupt, he should be charged. I believe that the Integrity Commission should have arrest powers, prosecution powers. You don't turn over prosecution to one individual. This is why, as Sir Byron is showing us tonight, it's the epicenter of protecting criminals in high places in our government. And so strategically, we have to start. This is a teachable moment in the history of Jamaica, what we have witnessed from this prime minister going back to 1998 till present, that, and I'm very shocked.
Now, Brother Rattigan, let me say, do a precursor before you come in. We have seen St. Lucia DPP, right, as it relates to, disciplining, right, these persons who just basically, right, just, forgot as it relates to the time that they're supposed to file. And as a result of not filing on time, right, that DPP in St. Kitts disciplined them. Now, in comparison to Jamaica, DPP, you have seen a whole different ball game. Illicit enrichment and so forth and so forth. And you have seen where at one point where the Prime Minister, right, being investigated for illegal awarding of contract to Govin, and then the case got dismissed because of abuse of process. Right, so when I look on the situation as it relates to St. Lucia and Jamaica, right, try to summarize as it relates to our DPP who should have executed, right, her responsibility in a professional way, right? So try and summarize that for us.
All right. Under Section 34 of the Integrity Commission Act, the corruption prosecutor has the responsibility of prosecuting cases. Now, she's subject to Section 94, which says that the Section 94 of the Constitution. I remember the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And it says that the DPP is the supreme prosecutor. As Pastor Ricky mentioned, she can start cases, she can take over cases, she can discontinue cases, except for military cases or cases where there has not been a judgment. If there's no judgment and they're not military cases, then she can take it over, she can discontinue it. So the systems are slightly different, because here's what happened. With our integrity commission, the person who's responsible for prosecuting matters, the corruption prosecutor. Now, her decision, the corruption prosecutor's decision, can be visited by a request made by the corruption prosecutor herself. She can go to the DPP and say, listen, I have this case here, and I just need some input from you as to whether or not I should prosecute. Or the commission can request the corruption prosecutor to go to the DPP and ask for an opinion. Having said that, the DPP can at any time take over any of those cases. So even though there's a prosecutor between the investigator and the DPP, which is a corruption prosecutor, the DPP will always leapfrog and say, I'm going to take this case and I'm going to do whatever I want to do with it. So the systems are a little bit different, because in the St. Lucia case, that was the case you mentioned, the DPP in that case has the right to prosecute directly. I don't think there's anybody between the DPP and the people that she prosecuted. Whereas in Jamaica, you have a corruption prosecutor. So that's the main difference there. But let me just say that the Prime Minister said that he has no inheritance, no trust funds, no endowment. I guess by extension, he could say he has not won the lottery. The burning question, when you read Craig Beresford's affidavit, and when you read the report put out by the Integrity Commission, the burning question is this: where's the source of funds? Where did you get the money from? Also, when you read Craig Beresford's affidavit, it says you didn't report these things, your assets, in a timely fashion. And in some instances, you didn't report at all until we found out, which is a clear violation. Exactly. And I have some serious reservations about the Integrity Commission, but we leave that for another time, because they screwed up a lot with the Prime Minister's case. There are things that they could have done that would have put him in a vice, and for some reason, they didn't. Like, for example, they asked him 4 times to turn over information. They didn't have to ask him 4 times. They asked him 1 time and tell him we need information by in 25 days. And if the information is not forthcoming, there are things that they could have done, but they didn't do it. But we leave that for another time. The Prime Minister is also trying out a whole bunch of slogans. You remember he came out with prosperity in 2016. A few years ago it changed. A few years ago it changed to peace. He said he was gonna create a ministry of peace. And then we don't hear anything about that. Now we're hearing choose Jamaica. And by choosing Jamaica, you should choose the Jamaica Labour Party. They're trying out these slogans. Nothing is working. So we shall see. The day is fast approaching. Now, he's been affiliated with First Global, Cash Plus, SSL, Olink, and others. And the thing that I find curious is that all of these turned out to be failed institutions. Yet the Prime Minister was able to get his money out.
Okay.
And I'm just saying, maybe this guy's just lucky. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't think he's lucky. But here's the thing. If you go back and you look at when he filed to run for Parliament, and you look at his profession, I think it says financial something. It says financial something. So there are things going on here that just rub me the wrong way. And the last thing is this: we talk about the investigations, and you demonstrated, you illustrated quite persuasively that, look, when you have an investigation elsewhere outside of Jamaica, St. Lucia, Orlando, Tampa, we get a conviction, or we get arrest and everything. But in Jamaica, people just walk free. And it goes to the lack of political will. There is no will there to put any of these people in prison. And then when you break it down further, it comes down to a systematic failure. The system is just flawed, and it's flawed in a way where it benefits the influential. What do I mean by that? They don't have a standard system where when a case comes in, the investigator, the analyst, and the prosecutor, they work hand in hand, hand in glove. We don't have that. Not in every case. And that's the difference where you see these convictions. Like I can tell you about in the US, where there's a complaint coming into the FBI. And what will happen is that agent who gets that complaint will do a preliminary investigation. And once he's satisfied there's more, he'll go to his supervisor and say, look, I think we should open up a full investigation. And once that's approved, guess where he's going? Right across the street to the prosecutor. Early stages of the investigation. And he's going to go over and say, look, I have this. What do I need to get a conviction? And the prosecutor will say, in order for me to present a case where I think we can convict this person, we're going to need this, and that. And they work hand in glove.
Exactly.
There are no surprises. That does not happen as a matter of as a regular course. It doesn't happen in Jamaica. And that's why sometimes you hear about dockets missing and this evidence disappearing. That doesn't happen. Or it happens infrequently over here. And I can talk about the places where I've worked, like in the Southern District of New York, the conviction rate is midnight, like about 96%. 96% of the time when they're prosecuted, you're going to prison. In Jamaica, it's far, far less than that. It's not even comparable. So those are my thoughts on the issues. And Pinks has asked a question about whether or not the Prime Minister should go to jail in Jamaica or should go to jail in overseas. I say send him over here to us. Because once he get a jail term, he's going to serve about 80 to 90% of that time. It's not 1/3 where, and we want him in federal prison, which he will go to, not state prison. State prison, you serve, I think like a third to a half of the time, and then them let you out for good behavior. Federal prison, you're going to serve 80 to 90%, unless you're going to give up some things, and then you can negotiate early release. But you don't negotiate scot-free. You don't negotiate free. You negotiate a reduced time. So you're going to prison. And I'm telling you, I can't wait for the day that somebody in Jamaica going to call me and say, we need you now to get on this trail and bring this man to the U.S. authorities so that justice can be served. I'm waiting for that day. I yield.